Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fantasy Football Universe for another edition of what are we calling this? Mock draft after dark, mock draft at night,
Yeah,
something like that.
the freaky late night mock drafts. We'll just call it that. I don't know.
Yeah,
Whatever you want to call it.
that fits. So we're here today. This is our first full 5-round rookie mock draft here since the draft. I think we've only done maybe one out of our 20 has actually been 5 rounds because for the most part nobody knows who the last 2 rounds of these guys are except for us. So we're gonna run this one here. I've got a bit of a creative background situation going on, so excuse the background noise. I think we're almost good. We're short a couple of drafters here, but we're gonna keep moving anyways. I say that as if I'm about to fire it up, but it's actually you in control of the sleeper draft. So you fire it up whenever the hell you want, and I am on the clock first.
All right, we are going.
You still have it set to Superflex? Yeah, hey, that's weird. Can you go into the actual settings where it says 2 QB Dynasty or whatever? Because otherwise it's coming up with the receivers first in ADP. Which means it's not set to Super. There we go. Okay, Marvin Harrison's still at 1.
Dude, he's going 101. I don't get it. It's like driving me insane. But whatever. I'm going to start the mock. We'll start it up and let's get rolling with this. So, yes, we know it cannot be undone. That will be such as life.
I am fun because not only am I not going with the first guy on the board, I'm not even going with the second guy on the board or the third guy on the board. I'm going with Jaden Daniels at the 101. Like landing spot, like the talent. He was out of all the IDP end offensive rookies I put through my little lab grades. He was the only one on either side of the ball who graded out as perfect 100%. He met every metric. Every single thing. He was my only 100% prospect. I got a couple in the 90s, some in the high 80s, but Daniels was my perfect prospect, and he got a favorable landing spot. He dodged the Patriots bullet, so
it's weird because you don't really like the rushing quarterbacks either, so it's very interesting.
And I don't really like the rushing quarterbacks either, and I'm still taking him. No, I guess that's not necessarily true. I don't like the rushing quarterbacks after a few years. I treat them like running backs. And after a few years, I ship their asses out.
There you go.
My buddy Ryan is on the clock. There we go. He took Marvin Harrison Jr. at the 102. Does that say Hoseby?
Yeah, that's my buddy Jose in one of my home leagues. He's like, he traded away the 103, and he was kind of bummed he traded it away. So he's like, I'll hop in and take the 103.
Well, and he just got Caleb Williams at the 103. So I
don't know. I would be victory lapping. I'd be so happy if I got Caleb Williams 103. Let me tell you what. I'd be like,
I would be too, but at the same time, if I'm drafting 101, no, you know what? I'm probably taking Caleb over Marvin Harrison, but I always draft for value, not need. If a quarterback, if we get a high-end quarterback out of this, it triples the value of a high-end receiver. So I get the upside with Neighbors and Harrison. I'm taking Daniels, Caleb 1-2 here.
Yeah, I've gone back and forth on like Neighbors and Odunze, but like I think those two, Harrison and Neighbors, are the top two just based on the fact like they're walking into as many targets as they can handle right away. And I love Williams or Odunze's landing spot, but like he's not going to get it. Like it's too much competition, man. So it sucks to like put him at the wide receiver 3. But I'm happy to trade back and get him. It's just those are my top 2 guys for sure.
I was going back and forth all off season between Marvin Harrison and Neighbors for me. Now it became a case of they were tier 1 and then Odunze was tier 2. Now for me, it's Marvin Harrison clearly tier 1 and Neighbors falls down to tier 2 with Odunze. So now it's Odunze versus Neighbors, not Neighbors versus Harrison for me. I think Harrison's the clear winner here. He's the easy wide receiver 1 for me.
Yeah, he's my number. Like he's the top guy among that group. And if you want to take him over the quarterbacks, like go for it because he's going to be basically a turn pick in startup draft. Like that's how high he's going to be valued. Oh, we're gonna get a timeout. Oh no,
we're gonna get auto picks at the end, and let's just keep it on a moving clock here because I'm on a crunch. So we'll recap the rounds as we go. So we have JJ gets auto picked, which is probably going to be the pick anyways. Bowers goes 7. I've done a few mocks since the draft. I've seen him go anywhere between. Some people have loved him. Some have had him. I've seen him go 103. I've also seen him go 110. So
yeah,
I want him 108, 109.
I don't think any of his landing spots were going to be that great. Like Cincy, he's behind the 2 guys. Indianapolis,
Chargers,
like he's the second option with Richardson. Chargers is the one spot where people would be hyped, but still, man, like I didn't think he was ever going to go to the Chargers, so I didn't think that was realistic. But yeah, like he's I can't really know where to put him between like the tier 2 part of that end of it or like the beginning of the other tier. Like I struggle with his ranking. I think he'll be fine, but like I don't think he's a dynasty tight end 1 anymore where he's at just because He needs the quarterback. But yeah, like getting Drake May at the 108 is just such a gift. Like he's basically my QB2 alongside Daniel. They're back and forth. I don't care which one you end up with. Like I think he's just very good. And the situation's better than people think. Like they think it's the Patriots, but they just drafted a bunch of players. They insulated it. Like it's better than people think. Like they actually have NFL quality wide receivers this year. So I think it's better than we're talking about.
All these quarterbacks going off the board. You'd think it was the actual NFL draft.
Mm-hmm. And then there goes Brooks.
I'll recap. Oh, let me make my pick here, and then I'll recap. Yeah, Brooks is who I wanted. He didn't fall. Then it was Worthy, McConkey. I'm in a spot I don't like. Benson is my top receiver, I think. How much did I got? 44 seconds. Yeah, Benson, and then a huge drop. Receiver, I think they're all about the same. I am actually going to take one lower down the board. I am going to go with... my guy, I'm going Troy Franklin. Okay, but let me recap the first round here. Well, you didn't have to pause it. Keep it rolling. We're good.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Right. Well, we're going 5 rounds, so I don't want to hold it up too long. So we start with Jaden Daniels, Marvin Harrison Jr., Caleb Williams, Malik Neighbors, Roma Dunze, JJ McCarthy, Brock Bowers, Drake May, Bo Nix. Brad is also a Broncos fan, so that could be why. I don't mind the pick. I think I would have gone probably a receiver or Brooks there. Then we have Jonathan Brooks, Xavier Worthy, and Ladd McConkey to end the first. I went Troy Franklin, and Ryan Silva is on the clock at the 102. I'm going to say he goes Benson here, but there's also some receivers on the board. There's one of them, Brian Thomas Jr.
I think taking Franklin's a bold pick to take him above Thomas. I think that's a very bold move by you, just because
I don't like Thomas. I liked Franklin better than Thomas. I like the potential situation better. I still think they could trade Sutton.
They could. They have a lot of guys who play that similar role. Like Franklin's kind of a stretch field guy. Same with Mims. They all stretch the field. No one's really running in this. It's weird. I don't understand what they're doing. And then we get Penix right here. I think that's actually not bad value for Penix, depending on if you're okay comfortably sitting on him, because it gets really weird in the middle of the second round, depending on how you look at these guys. There's a lot of these wide receivers who went late round 1, early round 2. They're going to go in this range. Yeah. People are not comfortable taking them. And then they're forcing up these running backs, which I think is actually a really bad idea, because we talked about it on another show. These running backs are in not the best situation. Benson is behind Connor. Maybe happens for him in year 1. Maybe it doesn't. Lloyd's in a good offense, but his situation sucks. Jacobs is not going anywhere. So there's that on top of it. He's got competition. It's just it's really hard for these guys to actually get volume. That's what we want for running backs. So it's just really difficult. I would not take Benson above the round 1 wide receivers. I think that's just a bad idea.
Yeah. I don't know. So we're going to go Brian Thomas. I'm hoping my wide receiver 2 or my next wide receiver gets back to me, but I doubt it. But so we go Franklin, Brian Thomas Jr., Michael Penix, Keon Coleman, Trey Benson, Ricky Pearsall, A.D. Mitchell, and Jesse is on the clock. It's interesting. I'm not going to lie. I like 3-round mock drafts a lot better pre-draft when we were speculating on where they were and they were just based on talent. A lot of these players do not look nearly as wonderful based on, Leggett, I don't really love as a first-round talent. I don't love the landing spot. I know there's nobody there, but there's not really much talent there. I know they drafted a lot, but it's a really young team, so that kind of scares me. Then Brad follows up your Leggett pick with Blake Corum, so he's gone with his favorite NFL team, followed by his favorite college team. Ends it with Jermaine Burton, Marshawn Lloyd, Jalen Wright, much farther than I expected, or higher up than I expected him to go, bringing me up on the clock, and I got the guy that I almost took at the 201, Roman Wilson.
Yes,
I wanted him at 201, and I seen Franklin, and I said, nope, I'll just take Franklin. And Roman Wilson got back to me in the 3rd round. Thank you all very much. It's not even my birthday. My kid laughed, just so everyone knows. You fuckers may not think I'm funny, but that 9-year-old, he thinks I'm cringy, but he's laughing at me.
I didn't laugh at you. I went okay. I didn't laugh, little buddy.
All right, so then we followed up my Roman Wilson pick with Ben Snott. So we have the second tight end off the board. They fell. It's funny because I actually thought Sinat was a winner here. I like the landing spot. We follow up with Jalen Polk, however you want to say it. Javon Baker, who is probably my next wide receiver off the board.
It's
These
funny they go
running
back to
backs are
back.
a lot more spaced out than they used to be. Hey,
Yeah, like I like how Baker and Polk specifically go back to back because that's been a heated discussion, and I'm like, why are we taking Baker above Polk? Like, can we not do that? Like, he needs so much to work out for him. He's behind multiple guys at X. Polk can play around the field. Like, Baker's the prototypical X. Like, it's just gonna be difficult for him. But yeah, I think it's very interesting. Like, when the draft kind of plays out, I think it was smart of you to wait on Wilson because he's kind of falling. And I'm at the 212 in one of my drafts. And after Polk goes, I hate that spot because it's a massive teardrop for me. So I would much rather trade back into this tier of players if I can do that because I'd rather take 2 shots than 1.
So then I like the Malachi Corley pick as well. Then we see a run of an auto pick in Ray Davis, who I'm hot and cold on. Estime, I think I like better than Ray Davis, and you're on the clock now. I'm going to scroll through some of the board here. I think there's maybe one quarterback, maybe a couple worth drafting if you really, but they're all dart throws. Excuse me, dart throws are a long term. Running backs, dart throw territory.
This is where you're at. Like, just take the guy with the best chance for volume. And I'm probably going to take your guy Vidal here because I'm looking and he has like the best shot or one of the best shots. It's him or Tracy.
Guy named Vidal. He's not on this board. I don't know who you're talking about. But this is my point though. Like, aside from maybe Polk, Sanat, and Roman Wilson, once you're getting to about the middle of the third round, look for guys who have a pathway to potential massive workloads. Don't take guys like, excuse me. Guys like Braylon Allen who have to beat out 9 guys, or Garendo who have to beat 9 players to get a role. Look for a guy who has, like Vidal, there's a pathway for him to getting touches. Estime, there's a pathway. Ray Davis, it's not an immediate path, but there's a way. Corley could very well be the slot here. Baker, Polk, these guys, this is high upside where they just need an opportunity. Damn it.
Bless you.
Out there working with the AC guys, and now I'm coughing up a lung here.
I think once Corley and Baker and not Baker, once Corley and Burton go, that's where I'm like just hammering running back after that point because I'm really not comfortable with these wide receiver picks. Maybe Baker is for certain people, but he's not for me. But there's just a ton of guys. Like, I like McMillan. I think there's some upside with these other guys like Malik Washington, whatever, but like they're stuck. And if you're stuck as a wide receiver in year 1, it's gonna be real difficult for you to make an impact. So I
like Corley a lot.
Yeah, I think I'm probably going to take Corley at the 212 over Roman Wilson. I think like he has a better pathway to fantasy than Roman Wilson. I think I think Roman Wilson's a safer play. If I want a guy who actually has fantasy upside, like I think I will shoot the moon with Corley and see how it works out. Like it could crash and burn, but it's a 212. I'm not too worried.
For me here, before I recap, there's only Cowing's one guy where this is one I'm not. There's so much has to go right or someone has to be traded. No. But the 2 I'm looking at who I think have possible pathways to touches are Tez Walker as maybe the 2 or 3 if you count Mark Andrews. I'm going to go with Theo Johnson. I think he might be the starting tight end from day 1. I don't love the pick, don't love the player, don't love the situation, but it's an upside play in the 4th round. So to recap the 3rd, we've got Roman Wilson, Ben Sanat, Jalen Polk, Javon Baker, Malachi Corley, Ray Davis, Audric Estime, Kamani Vidal, Bucky Irving, Jatavian Sanders, Will Shipley, and Jalen McMillan closes out round 3. I started off with Theo Johnson. Like I said, so we can run through this list. I don't really see a great pathway through for Allen. Tez Walker has a pathway. Garendo's a high-end handcuff. Brendan Rice, maybe he beats out unimpressive wide receiver room, but they've added other pieces. Cowing, I used to love the player, not really a good path. Dylan Lobby has a pathway at least as a pass catching back. We talked about, you said Gio Bernard. Malik Washington, I know everyone loved him, but like realistically, you're hoping for what? He's the wide receiver 3 at best.
Yeah, he's got to be awesome. He's got to be super efficient. So it's just like it's so difficult, man.
There's a pathway here for Eric All. There's a pathway, I guess, for Jaheim Bell. At this point, the tight ends, even Isaiah Davis, like he's conceivably not much worse off than Braylon Allen. But at this point, I'm just looking for people with a pathway to be Puka Nacua or Kyron. I get it. 100%. Talent-wise, they're probably not here, but you just need a person where one thing has to happen, then they get in. So we've got Theo, Brendan Rice, Tyrone Tracy, Eric All, Isaac Garendo, and Braylon Allen, followed by Luke McCaffrey. And I'm at the point where I'm kind of impressed that I still know these guys' first name off by heart. At this point,
it's real rough down here. Like you look at this path. If I think someone should take a shot on Rattler. Like I'm not going to do that, but I think he's the next guy. Like Lob's like one of the last running backs I see having a pathway. So like outside of him, you could go Tez Walker if you want. I love Cowing, but he's buried. So yeah, like I take Lob or Lobby, however you say his name. or
Yeah.
I would go get Rattler and hope, like we talk about, like it's more than likely not going to work out, but just there's some upside and injury and someone buys him, because you're looking at all the players on this list and it's like, I mean, maybe it happens with Jawar Jordan in Houston. Like I doubt it, but so you just got to target players that you're looking for the pathways. And I think Lobby here in the fourth, like that's an easy pick for me. Same thing with Rattler.
We
Like, I
see
think
Rattler go, followed by Tez Walker, Jaheim Bell, Cade Stover. So some more guys with a pathway kind of at tight end. Next up, we see, and there's one more that I don't mind. I don't mind the possibility here of who the hell, I lost it I had it in my head and then I lost it. Quarterback. That's what I was talking about. Jordan Travis.
yeah.
Sorry. Jordan Travis is the other one where Rodgers is getting older and I think there could be potential.
Mhm.
At this point, I'm going to go Rasheen Ali because there's probably a pathway. We've got an old running back in Gus Edwards. We have a running back coming off a bunch of serious injuries in J.K. Dobbins. I'll take Ali and just hope he finds his way through. I also don't mind, as we scroll down here, Blake Watson on Denver. He has a pathway. He obviously has to beat out 2 or 3 guys, but at this point, you're just praying you hit the right guy.
Yeah, I mean, like maybe they can develop Pratt in Green Bay as the backup, but like all of these guys have serious like roadblocks to them being anything fantasy wise. So you're just taking shots like we talk about on guys with any type of pathway, because most of these guys you're going to end up dropping in July, August as the season rolls around September, when they either get cut or they just are just buried, and you're like, yeah, that guy's never seen the field. Because we talk about these like young promising rookie. I think that's the guy from New Zealand, the KC running back dude. Like he's a fun one to throw around just because.
I thought he was is that the rugby player? Yes, it is.
Yeah. It's like he's got the craziest name. What is his name? Let's see. It's like
Luis Zamet.
Okay.
God Zamet.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he's a big guy. He's 6'3", 195. He's like, it's a weird build for a running back, but we'll see how it works.
After Ali, we see Cowing, who I love the talent and the potential. He's just buried, unless like this is why you don't go too overboard with it. If you like the talent, take a shot, because we've seen depth charts clear up pretty quickly with a trade or an injury. Then we have the rugby player here. Jordan Travis goes, who I don't mind that as a stash. Johnny Wilson, who was probably best suited as a tight end. Wiley, I know it's an auto pick, but I like as a long-term play here if you need a potential developmental tight end. Followed by Malik Washington, another guy, loved the tight end, not in love with the landing spot. Bringing up you at the 508, and it is dicey.
Rough. Yeah, I'm at this point in the draft, I'm just taking a guy in a good offense who, like, we talk about running backs in the Miami and the San Francisco offense. If I can get a guy with there and there's any pathway for them, so I'll target those guys. I'll just take Blake Watson because I think he's a good back. Like I don't think anything's going to come of it, but like I'll just shoot the upside with Blake Watson and hope something happens, because let's be real, we're at 508. Ain't shit happening for any of these guys. So I'll just take
a lot of guys here who are unsigned. So Blake Watson, I like that pick, but like there's a lot of these guys. I'm not a big fan of Barner going to Seattle. McLaughlin, I'm not a fan of any of these. I don't mind Brevin Spann-Ford in the landing spot, but
he's gonna block. He'll be on the field at least. So
Trey Knox maybe get some early looks with TJ Hawkinson still recovering. I don't know. I'm
scrolling down deep here. Like there's just unfortunately.
I don't mind that picking Isaiah Davis. I don't like he's buried. I don't mind the talent, and then we end it with Frank Gore Jr., Joe Milton, and Sam Hartman. So as they love to do, the computer auto picks a couple of quarterbacks. So no surprise.
It's not that big at all.
I know we kind of got a quick show and we can't go too much longer here, but before we wrap it up, anything that really stood out to you in our first post draft 5-rounder?
This is kind of like where we see these wide receivers falling, like in the middle of the second. So like Troy Franklin, like that's earlier than I'll expect to ever see him go. But like Brian Thomas, Keon Coleman, they all kind of go in this middle of the second. So if you want those round 1 wide receivers late, target middle second range. And then the running backs, it's the back end of the round 2. Like and then you'll kind of get into the wide receivers after that. So this is kind of how I've seen drafts go. I've been in like 3 or 4. And they've all kind of followed this pattern. I think the Knicks pick is probably really interesting too at 109. I don't mind it. I don't hate it at all. He's a starting quarterback, right? And if he's good, his value absolutely destroys like the skill position players in this path. So like, I get it. It might be rough for him, but if he hits, like you're gonna make bank on that pick tenfold.
I think the most important thing that I want to make note of here is that don't overvalue players just because of landing spots. Like I like to factor in the landing spot, but if you had a guy that you thought was total garbage, don't suddenly make him awesome.
Yes.
You know, because he got a great landing spot. Like I wasn't really that high on Coleman or Leggett, and suddenly they are vaulted up a tier. Conversely, there's spots where they're going to be a little bit buried, but don't completely kill a guy who you love. Like I'm still willing to draft Marshawn Lloyd. It is dynasty and things change quickly. So still at the end of the day, I think talent is more important. I think with running backs, opportunity matters
100%.
more than at other positions because their careers are so short. But at quarterback, especially, like I don't really care who's in front of them. I see these people. Well, okay, but I want a guy who can play this year. I don't care if you have the 101. If you're drafting a quarterback on a win now roster, don't rely on your 101. Even if it's Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams, the odds of you picking the right one, even receivers, the odds of you picking the right player who it instantly walks in and crushes for your win now team. We did this last year with all the people who are, I'm going to win now. I'm going to add Bijan at the 101. You know what? Well, Bijan was the right pick at the 101, and still Bijan did not lead you to a championship if that's what you were waiting on. So in these rookie drafts, don't worry about your fucking team needs. Needs can pop up out of nowhere. Needs can suddenly be filled out of nowhere with guys you weren't expecting. Don't expect these rookies to be instant contributors on your team. Draft the best player on the board for you, not the guy who you think is going to fill your need. Like that's why I'm a big fan of starting quarterback here, quarterback instead of the receiver, because I don't want to draft for my team need. I get it. Marvin Harrison could be great and should be great, but I'm drafting for value and then I'm trading later for need. So anything you want to add here before we call it?
I'm with you on that. If you have guys in tiers, don't push a guy up like multiple tiers. I get it with some of these landing spots, like we're talking about, it's burying guys. Like it is true to a point, but this is why I'm kind of grouping the running backs into the tiers. I'm not taking these like backup running backs over round one wide receivers. I'm personally not some of my strategy. I'm not going to do that because I know the round one wide receivers are playing out the gate. It just depends on how much you like those guys. So like, don't vault the running backs ahead over them. Then we get to the round two, round three wide receivers. Then it gets a little bit more dicey, but I'm fine with guys like Polk or Burton if you really like him, or Wilson if you like those guys and you see a pathway for him in year one, right? So you can go there. And then once we get, like I talked about with Corley and Polk, for me, that's a giant tier cutoff, and that's where I'm just hammering running back, because at that point in the draft, I don't feel comfortable with a lot of these other skill position players. So I'm just going to take running back because they can impact your roster more than anyone with a change at that position. If it's an injury, something happens, like those guys skyrocket in value. So just kind of know where the draft plays out for you. Go in with a plan. And be water. Don't be afraid to adjust, because people are gonna take a guy. If you get sniped, you got to move around the board, make it happen. It's just, that is what it is.
Like I got a 2-part answer for this. I'm willing to, I think, push Brooks as high up as maybe 108. But even having said that, I know running back is the most likely rookie position to hit, but the odds of you hitting, it's never the RB1 who goes, who's immediate. Like very rarely does it happen. I don't ever draft a rookie. I don't make a rookie pick with the intention of them being a league winner for me as a rookie in my dynasty league. I'll draft them late. Like I'll draft Jonathan Brooks in the 8th or 9th round or 7th round of a redraft and hope he's my league winner and hope he hits, because inevitably a rookie running back will hit. But I just hate people go in and they value these rookie picks like, oh, maybe you'll get lucky and you'll get the rookie running back who hits, but don't expect this rookie pick, no matter who it is, Harrison, Daniels, Brooks, don't expect that they're going to be the one that turns your team around this year. These rookie picks, it's not how it works.
Especially with these late round one wide receivers. Like I see Worthy getting steamed up where everyone like he's going to be an impact player. And I'm like, you need to figure out what the range of outcomes this type of player has. Him and like Brian Thomas, Lab McConkey, Keon Coleman, they're all very similar in that aspect, right? They're going to be boom bust players in how they're playing that offense. It's not going to be Malik Havers. It's not going to be Marvin Harrison where they see 150 targets. That's not the type of player they are. So you have to be very careful with these late round picks. Like, for instance, if, Worthy reproduces what Zay Flowers did last year, I think that's a good pick. But a lot of people are probably going to be disappointed because he plays for Kansas City and they expect more. So just kind of know the player and the role they're going to be in, because like you talk about, people overvalue what they're going to get from these rookie picks. So just be very careful. Same thing with like Bo Nix at the 109. If you get Drake May and he's a good starting quarterback, like that's a good pick at 108. Like, so we just kind of have to be careful with how we treat these rookie picks. Like there's a lot of guys that can be impact for you, but very few players are going to be true impact producers. So this is why the very front end is important, because those are the most likely guys to give you that true impact. But yeah, to your point, sometimes it doesn't always happen.
So he took Jonathan Brooks at the 107 over Bowers. He has quarterbacks. He has a tight end. I don't hate it. Ultimately, I would have attempted to trade down to a later pick and taken it in the assumption you couldn't do it here. I don't hate Brooks at 110 or 107. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I probably would have just taken the Bowers pick or one of the quarterbacks and tried to trade for a running back after the draft. But I don't hate, like I said, I would have probably gone as high as 108, tried to trade, no one bit. So
yeah, I would like, I'm not going to push them above the quarterbacks because the quarterback, if they hit, like, so you have to be comfortable knowing that if you want that production year one, I think Brooks actually has one of the best bets to give you the most impact production of anybody in this class, alongside with Harrison and Neighbors. Like, the role he's going to be in and how he's going to be used, it's just injury related. So if he's out the gates good, like, he could be a top 12 back for you. Is it likely? I'm not 100% sure. But of guys in this class, like, that's why I'm so bullish him at the 109, because I know the odds of him hitting and being a more impact are far greater than like Xavier Worthy, Brian Thomas, Keon Coleman, all of these guys there, because running back opportunity matters. It's all you're chasing volume, and I think he's going to get absolutely fed. So if you believe that, I'm fine with it. The 107, you're probably going to catch slack for it in your league. That's okay, but just be comfortable with the pick. If you're cool with that, that's all that matters. Just know your pathway.
I get you couldn't trade the pick. In the end, I would have taken one of the quarterbacks or Bowers and just would have drafted them and then tried to trade after. You'd be amazed once it's an actual player how much people are willing to do it. But all right, we got to wrap it up.
Yep.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. Head over to fantasyfootballuniverse.com or check back tomorrow at noon. I'm not sure what series we're starting tomorrow, but we've got some rookie talk tomorrow at noon. Thank you all for tuning in. Take care and have a great night.